like JD went through a very friendly interview with George Stephanopoulos, who was nice enough to pay me $16 million the last time we came. He had to pay $16 million to me, which was good. It was worth having somebody lie. If you get $16 million, that's good. But JD had a very nasty person interviewing him, and we can't let that happen. Just as inappropriate to cut off a highly respected vice president of the United States mid-sentence. I guess it's one way to win an argument. That was the only way he was going to win the argument. So it was pretty inappropriate, I want to tell you that.
So that was Donald Trump lashing out over the fact that JD Vance, and by extension Trump himself, were recently humiliated in a brutal interview with ABC's George Stephanopoulos. And in it, Trump suggests that news reporters shouldn't be able to cut off a vice president mid-sentence, which I'm sure only applies to Republicans. And Trump said all of this during a disastrous meeting at the White House with Argentinian President Javier Milei on the cusp of the Trump administration issuing $1 billion taxpayer-funded bailout, $20 billion really to be exact, to the failing economy of Argentina. I thought we were supposed to be America first. But before we unpack all of that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. Okay, so that was Trump finally reacting to what happened to JD Vance. We actually discussed it in a previous video. It happened Sunday, just the other day. So I want to remind you of what happened to poor JD after he lied his ass off, and George Stephanopoulos was like, you know what? I think I'm done with this shit.
It's not a weird left-wing rabbit hole. I didn't insinuate anything. I asked you whether Tom Homan accepted $50,000, as was heard on an audio tape recorded by the FBI in September 2024, and you did not answer the question. Thank you for your time this morning.
No, George, I said that I don't.
Up next. We'll be right back.
Classic. George is like, you know what? I'm done with this shit. I don't respect you, nor should I respect you. If you're going to lie your ass off, I'm going to treat you with the contempt and disdain you deserve. I love that. That was really good. Trump was not happy about that at all. So not only did he lash out at ABC, but when a separate ABC reporter attempted to ask Trump a question, this is how Trump handled it.
Mr. President,
Your ABC fake news.
Mr. President,
Brian, please.
First of all,
I
congratulations.
don't take questions from ABC fake news. After what you did with Stephanopoulos to the Vice President of the United States, I don't take questions from ABC fake news. Brian, go ahead.
Yes, sir. First of all, congratulations on achieving peace. You are indeed the peacemaker. On a lighter...
Did you ever think I was going to be called the peacemaker?
So that's Brian Glenn. That's Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend and Donald Trump's favorite reporter, basically favorite ass kisser. Again, we have no evidence that peace has been established. There was a ceasefire established, and again, credible reporting that ceasefire has already been violated. The IDF is accusing Palestinians in Gaza specifically of violating the ceasefire, and the Palestinian Civil Defense Force is saying that the IDF just was indiscriminately shooting Palestinian civilians. So either way, that ceasefire has already been technically violated, and there's certainly not peace as we know it. Number one. Number two, again, Trump's lashing out at ABC. Hey, listen, this guy, this other person at your network interrupted my vice president, cut him off. I'm done taking questions from you. It's fine if Trump wants to do that. I would say cowardly, but it's fine if he wants to do that. Democrats should consider that moving forward. And anytime Fox News asks them a question, but hey, I don't take questions from faux news. I mean Fox News. All the times you've disrespected Democratic presidents or whatever. So again, Trump is triggered. Here's another clip.
He's MAGA all the way. It's make Argentina great again. I heard about him when he was campaigning, and even before his campaign. He's a great economist, and he was saying a lot of very correct things, and he was very much in a conservative mode. And
he's referring to, again, Javier Milei, who's the president of Argentina. But if Javier Milei is so friggin' awesome, as Trump suggests that he is, why does Milei need a $20 billion taxpayer-funded bailout from the American government? Sure sounds like perhaps Javier Milei's policies haven't been quite the success that libertarian economists and conservative economists suggested that they would be. He was just going to snap his fingers and fix it all. Sounds like he's pretty friggin' desperate. And, of course, the timing of this couldn't get possibly any worse for Trump because we're in the midst of a Trump-triggered shutdown, and there are American people who are suffering as a consequence, but he still has enough juice in the tank to give our taxpayer dollars to Milei for openly political purposes, as you'll see from the next couple of clips.
And the election is coming up very soon, and it's a very big election being watched by the world because he's done an incredible job, but with that comes some pain, and they have some pain, and now they're coming out of it. I think the victory is very important. Your poll numbers, I hear, are pretty good, but I think they'll be better after this.
So Trump is saying, hey, listen, there's a presidential election in Argentina, and we want Milei to be the president. We want it to continue. So this election is really important. I bet your polling is going to increase after we give you a $20 billion taxpayer-funded bailout, courtesy of the Trump administration's largesse. And again, he makes it even more explicitly clear in the next couple of clips, but he takes a detour to make fun of Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren.
We've been criticized by a couple of American Peronists like Senator Warren. And you know, she and
It's a compliment.
Yeah.
She has no idea what she's doing. She's a nasty, horrible senator. Go ahead. Other than that, I like her very much.
Yeah.
So again, he just feels the need to insult Elizabeth Warren, which is fine. Again, because listen, quite frankly, I'm over this like civility, cordiality bullshit. The fact of the matter is that if this is how Republican presidents are going to speak about Democratic. Sorry, I'm making sure I've got the clips while I'm talking here. Later on down the road, we're going to get more confirmation from Trump about the nature of this, explicit nature of this bailout. But anyway, if Republican presidents are going to speak about Democratic senators in this way, I think the next Democratic president should just be as uncivil and uncordial as Trump is. I think he should be routinely making fun of Republican lawmakers and, talking all kinds of shit. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. And if we want to get back to civility and decency and decorum and cordiality, then Donald Trump and Republican lawmakers actually have to play by those rules too.
Argentina rescue package, America first. And is this rescue package meant to help President Milei's party in the coming election?
No, it's really meant to help a good financial philosophy where Argentina can, after 20 years of disaster, because it was very successful at one point, and it can be again, like Venezuela. Venezuela was very, very successful, and now it's a dictatorship. When we can help.
So he says, no, of course it's not to help Milei. Again, he makes it very, very clear what happens if Milei loses the election in a subsequent clip that we're going to play here. Trump has asked about soybean farmers here in the United States who are suffering immensely under Trump's disastrous economic policies and how China might be attempting to exploit divisions between Argentina and the United States by purchasing soybeans from Argentina, which goes against American economic interests.
Mr. President, was China trying to draw a wedge between the U.S. and Argentina by buying soybeans from Argentina and not U.S. farmers?
I would say so.
And China on the port fees.
China
They've
likes to
increased
draw
port fees on
wedges.
U.S. ships, too.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I guess that's natural. It's China, and it's natural, but it's not gonna mean anything in the end.
So he says, but right now, again, American farmers are suffering as a consequence of Trump's disastrous tariff policy and disastrous economic policy, and the soybean farmers need business. And right now, China's refusing to do any business with American soybean farmers. So not good. Here's another clip.
I met him at the United Nations before I went up to speak, and then I found that I didn't have a speech because I had no teleprompter. They turned off my teleprompter purposely. They made it impossible for me. But it didn't silence me. I spoke without, and it was a good speech. I mean, it was a good speech. But no, think of that. You go into the United Nations, I'm speaking in front of 158 leaders and the whole world. And I look at my teleprompter and it's dead. They killed my teleprompter.
He's still bitching about this. He ordered a Secret Service investigation into it. He ordered a UN investigation into it. I mean, it's absurd. And then he goes on to say, they made it impossible. They killed the teleprompter. They destroyed my speech. Also, I delivered the speech with just fine without the teleprompter because I'm just that amazing. Okay, well, which is it, man? Which is it? Is this like an international security crisis, or was just like this a technical error and you should just move on? He can't make up his mind because he has to have it both ways. Here's another clip.
Mr. President, would you support dollarization?
I would say that I'll leave that up to my my economic people, but I like the dollar. I'm very strong on the dollar.
He's not very strong on the dollar. The value of the dollar has declined on Trump's watch because, again, disastrous economic policy from the Trump administration. We actually haven't seen anything like this in modern American history, and it's all happening on Trump's watch. This one you should brace yourselves for because Trump compares himself to Presidents Washington and Lincoln.
Statements. She said I was the greatest president in her lifetime. Now, she's not that old, so I didn't consider it a great compliment, but I've had better.
Can we send her a hat?
Well, recently I've had the greatest president of them all. I like that much better.
Mr. President?
Does that include Washington and Lincoln? Yes, sir, it does. I said I like that president.
So obviously it goes without saying, those are the two greatest U.S. presidents in the history of this nation, and Donald Trump does not belong in anywhere close to referencing them. You know, George Washington had a supernaturally amazing relationship with power in the sense that he was not a tyrant wannabe the way that Trump is. He, renounced his commission at the end of the Revolutionary War when he could have basically become King George I, right? He just waged a revolution against King George III of Great Britain. He could have been the first American King George I because he was in control of the army, and that was typically the historical tradition. He reluctantly served as the president of the Continental Convention, supervising the drafting of the Constitution. He didn't want it. They asked him to do it. He did. He was drafted effectively to become the first president of the United States. Again, didn't want to, protested immensely. They begged him repeatedly. He did. He won unanimously all electoral college votes. He's the only president to do so. He reluctantly ran for a second term when they begged him again, please, 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 you have to be the midwife of the American democracy. You have to be there. It is essential for you. Otherwise, this project will fail, which is, by the way, probably true. And at the end of his second term, even though there was no term limit, he could have been president for the rest of his life. He was like, no, I'm done. I'm done. I served as a commander-in-chief of the Continental Congress, of the Continental Army. I beat the British. I served reluctantly as the president of the Constitutional Convention and twice now as president of the United States, all against my will. I can't do this. I can't be seen as basically this God king. And he established this healthy, peaceful transfer of power that Trump violated. And of course, President Lincoln, won the Civil War. He emancipated the slaves of the South. He ended slavery. He abolished slavery in this country. So you're talking about the two greatest presidents in American history. Trump is objectively the worst.
Of all police, I mean, how can a policeman? He hates Jewish people, and yet he's got Jewish people supporting. He hates Jewish people. So it comes through the White House. The funding for New York and for every place comes through the White House. And I'm very generous, and I was always very generous with New York, even when you had opposition there, but I was always very generous. But I wouldn't be generous to a communist, a guy that's going to take the money and throw it out the window.
So he's talking about Zoran Mamdani, who is not a communist, but he's saying if Zoran Mamdani becomes mayor of New York, which is likely to be the case, the Trump administration is going to try to basically close the tap of federal funding to New York City. So again, that's election interference. He's like, New York City, if you elect Zoran Mamdani, I'm going to, punish you by way of federal funds. Again, we've never seen or heard anything like that. Certainly not from a Democratic president. But perhaps if that's going to be the new norm, that's what the next Democratic president needs to do. He needs to say, "Hey, listen, I really don't like this precedent, but the only way you'll learn is game theory, tit for tat. So just to give you a taste of your own medicine, maybe I'm going to cut off federal funding to this red state or this Republican-controlled city." Is that what Republicans want? Probably not. I suspect they really want to do it to Democrats, but they don't want it done to them. It shouldn't be done to anybody. But this is the world that Trump is creating. And here, he makes it explicitly clear that if Milei doesn't win the next presidential election, the largesse of the federal government towards Argentina is going to end.
So it's a little bit like that with, if you take a look at Argentina, if the president doesn't win, I know the person that he'd be running against, I believe, we probably have the person. A person is extremely far left and a philosophy that got Argentina into this problem in the first place. So we would not be generous with Argentina.
So there you go. If Milei doesn't win, Donald Trump is going to cut off foreign aid to Argentina. Again, being very clear. Couple of other clips to show here. He says some things that we're going to discuss in a separate video because they merit their own specific video. But here's Donald Trump, again, verbally, visibly confused, talking about President Biden's signature, the auto pen, and pardons, except he screws up the word pretty badly.
That auto pen thing is under serious investigation. Just this, I don't think you care because you're from Argentina. You couldn't care less about that. But I just want to say, because I do the weave, you know, the weave, cover a lot of different subjects. But the people that are involved in that auto pen scam, because he barely signed anything. I mean, this guy, I don't know how you can be president. He barely signed it. But the only thing we can find for sure is that he signed Hunter's pardon, his pardon. Hunter's pardon. I like that. That's.
Oh my God. This guy's so dumb, and we're going to be stuck with him for another 3 years at a minimum. Let's see. Gosh, he just goes on and on and on. Okay, he talks about Kamala Harris.
Oh, if she won, you'd be negative. You'd have people getting out of the country. This country would have been in a major depression. If she.
So he said that about Biden during the 2020 election. He was objectively wrong, and by many metrics, the economy that Trump has right now, Trump's economy, is objectively worse than the Biden economy that he inherited. He just can't help it. He just can't help but ruin that which Democratic presidents leave him. And I'll wrap up with this. Donald Trump, this is really important. Donald Trump talking about photos of him half or fully naked on the beach.
Would you like to visit Argentina soon? There is an invitation for that.
What does that mean?
Do you like to visit Argentina soon?
I do. I would love to. I'm just a little busy. I would love to. I'd love to go to Argentina. I'd like to be like Biden. I'd like to go to the beach. You know? My legs are not quite as thin as his. My legs are slightly heavier. My arms are slightly larger. My body is a little bit larger than his. I'm not sure it would be appreciated on the beach, but I'm not going to take a chance.
No, it would not be appreciated on the beach. Thank you, Mr. President, for sparing us that. There you have it. Donald Trump's latest disastrous Oval Office meeting, White House meeting with much of the cabinet. Again, making it very clear, very transparent, his transactional domestic and foreign policy, and lashing out at reporters, suggesting it should be illegal for reporters to humiliate JD Vance as they did. You can't interrupt the vice president as long as it's Republican and I like him. Okay, Donald, his censorship streak is a mile wide. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.